Hello. Today I want to address a question I received this week at an MLS presentation about residential service contracts, or as you refer to them, the home warranties. The question related to preparation of the closing disclosure and the need to have the home warranty information well in advance of closing. The answer to the question of whether we actually need it well in advance is unfortunately no. We can add the cost of the RSC all the way up to closing. The problem with that, however, is if the buyer wants additional coverage under the warranty, or the cost of the warranty that the buyer chooses exceeds the amount of the allowance from seller, we do have to add the amount to the closing disclosure. And that closing disclosure is no longer the title company's form. Any changes to the CD need to go back to the lender to make, and this will delay your closing. Some RSC companies do allow the buyer to make adjustments to their coverage for 30 days after closing. So the alternative to making changes at the closing is to close, allow the title company to pay the allowance to the RSC company provided by the seller, and any overage that may be due when buyer makes adjustments will be paid directly by buyer to the RSC company. Therefore, the problem with the RSC is not when, but what. All that the contract states is that the seller will reimburse buyer for the cost of a warranty in an amount not to exceed X. The title company must have an invoice at closing. Every disbursement to a third party from a closing disclosure must be supported by an invoice under the regulations of the Texas Department of Insurance. More often than not, the agent for the buyer asks the title company to assume the responsibility for ordering the RSC. Therefore, persons who have never seen the property and who have no point of reference about the liability of any of these companies are ordering coverage for the buyer. I am not sure this is in the best interest of your buyer. Neither you nor the title company assumes responsibility for ordering the casualty insurance for the buyer. And I think the RSC coverage can be just as important to the buyer as the casualty loss coverage. The buyer should treat this like other insurance, enroll before closing, and know their coverage. This best practice will allow us to finalize a CD before closing and will give the buyer confidence in what the coverages are. Additionally, it shields you, the agent, from complaints from a buyer when the RSC does not cover a particular item. It was the buyer's choice and not yours, or one that you directed the title company to. Let's implement best practices that are in the best interest of our clients and encourage buyers to take ownership of their RSC coverages. Allegiance Title hopes you find these tips helpful and asks that you come see us for your title needs. Thank you.